Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing an outstanding launch from 2017. 18 pieces in white gold. This is the MB&F Legacy Machine Split Escapement. Full of splendor and independent horology cool. This timepiece is a remarkable collaboration with Stephen McDonnell. Let's take a quick look at the dimensions. 44 millimeters in diameter by 17.9 millimeters thick by 50.3 millimeters lug-to-lug with a 24 millimeter span between the lugs that's nice and proportional for the size of the watch. As a result, it has a nice planted stance on the wrist. Really, broad-shouldered. I love the lug spacing width and the fact that the lugs are so short and stubby and also tightly downturned that when I tighten it so it's sized for my wrist, it's nowhere near the edges. It's a big watch, make no mistake, but it's no broader across your wrist than a Rolex Daytona on a bracelet. So keep that in mind. I will say this though, even given that the sapphire is abundantly sloped, you're probably not fitting this one underneath the cuff. Then again, a watch with this much personality shouldn't be disappeared beneath a shirt. Here's your over-the-top shot, here's your down-the-barrel shot, looking at the clearances, and of course one more cuff shot. Let's take a look at the hardware and the software. The buckle on this one, this looks like the G&F Chatelain system, also used by RM among others. It is a titanium clasp, as you can see, with a leaf spring that will snap it shut and also snap it open at your will. It's a secure system, and it's made of a combination, as you can see, of white gold for the polished buckle and then titanium for the chassis material and the leaf spring. You've got the MB&F double battle axe logo on the buckle itself, and as you can see, it's handsomely detailed with a combination of polish, satin, and media blasting. Really nice, and that's just the buckle. Jumping back to the case, you can see it's a combination of polish and satin finish, but the satin is handsomely arrayed as it's 90 degrees turned from the satin finish of the case band, which is horizontal, to the vertical finish of the lug profiles. The lugs are also beveled on their edge with polished hoods, and they're nicely tapered. The bezel is very shallow and slightly concave. It's not perfectly conical. It does dip in a little bit to visually pair the mass, and you can see it also overlaps the case band a bit, so the case band is pushed in slightly to visually diminish the shear of the case and reduce the amount of visible mass. The same purpose is accomplished by slightly setting back the case back. Now rolling over to the push readjuster that's used for the date, you can see this little push readjuster is all of high polish. The feel is outstanding, like a fine column wheel chronograph, and then we roll over to the crown, which is off-centered and unconventional. You can see that MB&F Battle Axe logo one more time, and then the sapphire. My goodness, the sapphire. It seems to have been calculated perfectly so as to avoid any kind of distortion from any angle on the front side. The dial base has been wrought with a wire brush. By basically stamping the end of a bristled and rigid wire brush, you create this frosted pattern, and that was MB&F's alternative to the historic frosting technique, which generally involved use of acid. It is then PVD blued, which is a handsome contrast to the black polished components of the movement and the white lacquered dials. You've got fired steel hands for these dials, and you've got your time, you've got your power reserve up to 72 hours, and then you've got your date, and of course you have that little push readjuster for the date. The balance is 14 millimeters in diameter with recessed bolts and free sprung for durability and precise adjustment. It has a full dual-anchored balance bridge for shock resistance and better bracing against shock. And then you can see that it beats weight 18,000 vibrations per hour, and it features an overcoil hairspring. So because the overcoil has a more centered mass than a flat hairspring, in any position with respect to gravity on your wrist or your dresser at night, it's going to beat concentrically, so the watch keeps time very evenly in spite of position. You can really see that that balance is the highlight of the dial, as it is simply immense. 14 millimeters in diameter, and thanks to the 18,000 vibration per hour beat rate, it is a lovely chugging pocket watch cadence. You can also see those recessed bolts, which improve aerodynamics and allow for very precise regulation through variable polar moment. Turning it all over, by the way, take a look at the size of the balance staff. It extends from a case back where the escapement is split from the dial, hence the name of the watch, split escapement. Twin mainspring barrels, because there is a lot of extra mass involved in that huge balance and then the extended staff. You need 2 mainspring barrels worth of energy to get the 3-day power reserve. Pivots on 35 joules, 30 meters water resistant, again, 18 pieces. This one is serial number 10, and it is immaculately finished. You could really see that the angulage here is broad, Voutilanen and Dufour-esque. I mean, this is as good as it gets. You can see 1, 2 sharp interior angles where 2 bevels meet in a sharp crease. That's extraordinarily difficult to do. There's a third one just above. You can see that the wheels themselves are handsomely satin grained. There is a huge amount of black polishing across the screw heads, which also feature chamfered slots and chamfered circumference. The Côte de Genève, as I move through the light, you can really see they have a gradient from dark on one side to light on the other. That's true abrasive wheel Côte de Genève, not the stamped kind. There's radial grain across the crown wheel as well as the ratchet wheels atop the barrel, and then there's engine turning on the base plate. It is truly gorgeous. This is hand finishing at its absolute finest. Max has said that the Legacy machine is a what-if watch. Across the range, they're designed to envision what an MB&F watch might have looked like in the pocket watch era. Now you know. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing.